Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Aryan. Today I'll be doing a Java speed overview. So I'm going to cram as much as Java topics into a short length video. First, you need to download IDE. I'd recommend Eclipse for Java. And so I would recommend Googling Eclipse and downloading it. And maybe if you want to, you can watch a YouTube tutorial on how to set everything up. So after you set everything up, click create a Java project. Let's name our project. I'm just going to put first project. Then I have a default location set. So I'm just gonna click finish. That creates a project for me. I'll be going a bit fast because I'm trying to cram everything. So if you want to slow down this video or rewatch some parts, you can. So and after I open it, I'm gonna go to the SRC. I'm gonna right click it or double click it. I'm gonna go to new class. Don't worry about what a class is now. I'll cover that on a later video. This video is level 1, so it only has basic topics in it. And let's give it a name. I'm going to put main. And for that, I'm just going to tick this check box, make sure these two are checked. Don't worry about what these two are now. I'll explain one of them in a bit. So the first checkbox we checked was the public static void, and this is the method that runs, or this is the whatever is between these two parentheses is what runs when Java is run. No matter whatever comes before it, this will be where Java always checks first. So if there's code in between this is where it will run. So first let's learn something about printing to a console. So console is this area down here. So to print to there we put print means to display something. To print we put system dot out dot print, and in here we can put something, and if you put double brackets you can type something you want. So instead of without double brackets, if I want to say hi, I can't say hi because it's looking for something called a variable. I'll explain what's a variable in in 2 seconds. So let's just say hello world. Hello world is something really famous in developing world. Hello world is usually what you print first for the first time if you learn into code. So let's just put system.out of print, and between the two double quotes we're going to say hello world and with exclamation mark. Now if you click this green run emoji over up here, it runs, and you should automatically have something called console over here. If you don't, it will open when you first run something, and it says what we printed out, hello world. To know what a console is something we can print into and will be really useful in the future. System.out.print, we can print many things other than just string or a word. I'll get that to in a bit. To learn more about that, we need to know what a variable is. Let me cover what a variable is. Variable is the container that can hold some value. So to set up a variable, how you would do it is you put a type. What type of variable? Do you want a word? Do you want a number? Do you want a decimal number or something? And you're gonna give it a name. Name can be anything you want. It can be the letter A or the longest word in the dictionary. And then we put an equal to sign, and then we can put that to some value. So I'm just gonna put val. And to finish off every line of code, in Java, we saw it over here in the system.out.print statement. It's a semicolon. So to finish any line, you need a print semicolon. So let me explain this thing better. So a type, we want that the most famous type I would say is an int. Int is just a number that is not a decimal value. Int's full form is an integer. So some of you might know what an integer is. So int, which is our type. Now let's give it a name. I don't know. I want to call my num1, and I want to set it equal to 2. Now, as you can see, there's a red line over there because that we need to finish it with a semicolon, then that's set. Now, if I want to change num1, I don't want it to be 2 anymore. I can just say num1 equals 9. Now, num1 is 9. And you don't have to say int again or any of that. But let's see if this actually changed. So after I assign it the value of 2, I'm just going to do a print statement. And instead of using double quotes in here, I'm just going to say num1. So num1 is a variable, and we can just put a variable and it will print whatever the value is. So this print statement should print 2. Let's see if it works. Yes. Now see how hello world and 2 is on the same line. To get rid of that, instead of using system.out.print, we can just put a ln at the end, which just makes it a print line. So it's going to print a line, and it's going to skip a line after printing it. So now if you try running it, if you notice a difference, hello world and 2 is on two different lines. So now let's try running it after we set num1. equals to 9. No. Now here it should print num1 equals 9. So let's test that out. It says hello world and 2 and 9, which are the values we assigned. The other types of variables we can use is the next one is a double. Double is a number that has a decimal value, or it doesn't have to have a decimal value, but it can. So I'm just going to call this one num2, and I'm going to set this equal to 2.3333. And now we can do the same thing where we can print it. Instead of num1 this time, we can just change it to num2 and we can print it, and we click the run button. We can see it said the hello world from here, the 2 from our num1, and our 2.333 from our num2. And it's the same way. If you want to change it, you just say num2 equals 5. And if you try printing that, system.out.print, let me just copy paste it to make it faster. And we can just put num2. We can see it didn't print out 2, it printed out 5.0, which is the same thing as 5. So when you assign any value to a double, it will change it into a decimal. So if it's just a normal value like 5, it will change it into 5.0. But the same thing does not work for an int. We cannot set an int, so let's try putting num1 to 4.5. It won't let me do that. As you can see, there's an error. The error is a type mismatch which says cannot convert double to an int. And this makes sense too. If you want to convert a double to an int, we just take away the decimal. So num1 will be equal to 4 if Java allowed it. And 4 is not the same as 4.5, so it's just not possible. Now the next type of variable we can look at is a word variable, and the word variable is called a string. And when you're writing a string, the type is a string with a capital S. A lowercase s would not work. So let's give it a name. So let's just say string, which is our type, name. So let's just say it's like my name, and we can set it equal to. And when we're setting equal to, setting a string equal to something, we got to use double quotes. The double quotes, as we seen up here, is to use something to say words in. So in here, I can just say Aryan, and we can put the semicolon, which seals it. Now let's try printing this. Name. And if we try running our code, we can see it says hello world from our first line, 2 and 2.333 from our two number variables, and Aryan from the name variable. Now that's all the major. Gee, I'll cover one more variable, which is a boolean. Boolean is just a true or false. So we can set the type boolean, and let's give it a name. Let's give it true or false, and we can set that equal to true. And when you're setting, the only values a boolean can be assigned to is a true or a false with a lowercase t and a lowercase f. Now one convention or a convention I want to go over is like something you do when you're coding. It doesn't matter any language. It's something called camel case. That camel case applies to when you're naming something. So let's try. So if we had a name like num1, instead of using number one, I used the word one. I cannot just write num1. The proper convention would be to lowercase the first word and uppercase the first letter of the second word, and any other word after that. So I would write like this. This is proper convention. If you're coding by yourself is not really needed, but I would do it just to get into the habit. Now, some things variables is math. Math is really important. So let's just do some quick math. So I'm going to create a new int called num3, and I'm going to put it to 4 times 5, or 4 times 5. And let's start printing that out and see what happens. Oh, and we got to finish all lines with a semicolon. And let's print out num3, and let's see what we'll get. We can see we get 20, which is what we'll get if we did 4 times 5. But multiplying is not the only thing we can do. We can do addition, which is just a plus sign, which will give us 9. We can do subtraction, which is a minus sign, which will give us -1. Int value can go into the negatives and positives. Just the only restriction is it just can't have decimals. Same for a double, it can go into the negatives and positives. Some other things you can do is division. Let's do 4 divided by 2, which is the forward slash. We'd run it, we get 2, as we can see it's displayed here. And that's all the major ones you need to know for now. One thing we need to do when dividing is if we try to divide 4 divided by 3, that will give us num4 equals 4 divided by 3. I'm just creating a new variable. And this will compile. Compile means there's no red line when we stop typing anything. And if you try to print this out, it might not be what we expect. So if you print out, we get 1, but we know 4 divided by 3 is not 1. Matter of fact, if you do, let's open a calculator, and 4 divided by 3 is 1.333 repeating, and 1 is not the same as that. This is because our num4 is an int. What an int does, if it ever receives a double through like some operation here, we can set it equal to the only way we can have a doubled int value is through operation. What Java will do, is just cut off everything after the dot, after the decimal. So all this will just be deleted and we'll get 1. So if you want to actually get the answer, we'll have to change the type of num4 to a double. So if you run this, we can see we get 1.3, and which is still not that, because when we're assigning 4, any number we just enter like 4 is considered as an int to Java. So if you do 4.0, 4.0 divided by 3.0, now those two, Java knows 4 and 3, I want it to be, or like the coder wants it to be a double value. So now if I run this, we'll get the 1.33 repeating. But if we change it back to an int and kept, that will give us an error because it's the same type mismatch. It cannot be set to a double. So we have to keep it to a double. And if you don't want to use an int value, if you don't want to set it equal to like 4.0, instead you're doing dividing like num1 divided by num2. And we know num1 is an int value, so we need to convert that to a double value. And how you'll do this is something called casting. Casting is just you do a parentheses. Inside the parentheses, you'll type the type what you want the variable to change to. So I want it to change to a double, and which variable do I want to change it to a double? Num1. Num1, like let me just put, in case it's all in parentheses, it's not really needed. Num1 is now a double value, but it's only a double value for this line. I'll explain that in a bit. So let's divide that by num2, or let's just divide that by, since it was 2, let's just divide it by 4. It should give us 0.5, semicolon repeating. You see it gave us a decimal value, but if we try to print out num1, it will still be an int value. As you can see, it gave us 2 before, as for the result, not 2.0, which would indicate it's a double value. What casting does is temporarily, for just this line of code, it will change num1 from an int, which will be 2, to a double, which will be 2.0, and divided by 4. And since our type is double and one of the numbers or like things we're dividing is a double, you'll give your double answer. And I do not have to put 4.0 here to get a double answer. Now something this could there's we can do so much things with this math, and something really cool you can do is get input. You can get input from your users. To get an input, we'll have to create something called a scanner. For now, don't worry about what a scanner is. It's something called a class, and we'll cover that on a later video. So we put scanner, which is a type, like it's a variable. So we have a scanner type, and for scanner, I'll just put scan equals. We need a variable, and we need to do something called new scanner and system dot in. For now, you don't need to worry about what this is. And it will scanner is something Java has. Java has a lot of classes it is already built in. So if you want to use that in our code, we'll have to import it. To import it, it'll give us a red line of error. And if we just hover our mouse over it, we can see import scanner class. So if we go up to the top, there's an import statement. Import statement is using Java's like built-in features. We need to bring it onto our code. So before any of the code is ran, it will import anything we needed. So now we have a scanner type in here. So what a scanner does, you really don't need to worry about that, or what a system.in is. That's a much more advanced concept and don't need it for right now. For now, just know that a scanner can take in something we type in the console. Well, let's see how it works now. I want a new int and I want age, and I want to set that equal to scan, which is our name, dot next int. So what this will do is when I wait, let me just comment out. So if you do highlight a line of code and do control forward slash, it'll create something called a comment. Or if you put two forward slashes, and what a comment is, it basically just not removes the code, but it just makes it so you can type anything. I can say hello here, and when Java is running the code, it's not actually, they don't see it. It's invisible to the viewer. So we can have all our old code right over here, and it won't be run. So if I run this now, only thing printing is our first system.out.print line from the very top. Now let's print age. I'm just gonna put a system.out.print line, and I want to print age. But if you look, we didn't set age to any value. So what a scanner does, if I click the run method, it's stopped right now, and I can click on my console and I can set it to a value. So I'm just going to enter a random age, 66, and if I click enter, now age is set to whatever value I printed, and since we can see we printed that, we can see 66 is what I entered, and that's what age is now set to. And that's how a scanner works. The scanner can be used for a lot of beginner level projects you can do. So you can ask the user for a random number, then you can multiply it by some number and print it out. Like age, I'm going to just say age times 2. That's what I want to print out. So if you want to do quick math and you really don't need to store the value like in a variable, like we did over here, we had to create an int num to divide something, or int, we had to create the whole thing just to get something we are going to print out later. Instead of that, we can move this whole portion into where we put this num3. So here, instead of creating something like int age doubled, and set that equal to age times 2, we can just take this entire value right here and put it in here. So what will happen is when we run the code, we can see it says it stops right now. Nothing is printing because I need to click on here and enter a value. So 44. I'm just going to put 44, and it says the double of 44, which is 88. So now, since the code just paused for a second and I really didn't know what to do, or like I didn't know I need to enter a value. As someone, like if I didn't write this code, I wouldn't know I need to enter a value. So another proper convention to do is before you have a scanner, you create another print line. In here, you can say, please enter your enter your age. So, and now if you run this, it will say, please enter your age. So now as someone who, if I was someone who didn't write this code, I would know, oh, I need to enter my age. So let me just enter 44. Uh, and we get 88 because which is the double. So this is all that's going to be in our level 1 video. Now I don't want you to stop here. I want you to go create some projects by yourself. The best way to learn a coding language is creating projects or mini projects by yourself. So what I want you to do after learning all this is I want you to, in the public method, I want you to get some value from the user using our scanner we learned in this video. And I want you to get their name. So instead of getting a system.nextInt, to get the string, you'll just put system.nextLine. That's how you get a string. So if I put string name, and I can set this to name, And let me just change it to name. Since we can multiply a string by 2, that makes no sense. So let me just try running this and see what happens. It says enter your name. So I'll just type in Aryan. And when I click enter, it displays my name, Aryan. That's how you get a name. So what I want you to do as a first project is I want you to get the name, I want you to get the age, and I want you to ask them for a random number, any number you can get, and random number that's not a decimal. And then I want you to do multiply the whatever value they give us, and I want you to multiply it by 2 and subtract 3 from it and print it out. And when printing it out, instead of just putting name, we can put something saying, we can put a double quotes like we did up here, and we can just say hello. And if we put a plus sign, we can add any other value over here. Like if I still if to uncomment something, you can just put control slash again. I can put hello plus num3. This plus sign makes it so you can add 2. So now if I try running this, it'll say hello. Oh, I need to enter my name, Aryan, but it's not matter. Hello 2. And if you remember, that's what our num3 value is 4 divided by 2. That's how you do it. And when you're printing out for your project, I want you to do something like this. Print line. I want you to say hello. Then I want you to include the name. Then I want you to say uh, hello whatever. So hello name, hello Aryan. And I want you to put another plus sign. So if you want to keep adding on, you just put more plus signs and more double quotes. And you can say you are, and I can put age. Now these variables are have an error on them right now because I don't have an age or a name value right now. But when you implement your project, it should have them. You are age um, plus old. So let me just create an age value real quick. Int age equals 17, and so I'll just do this much for now. You will have to do the getting their favorite number or random number and doing the times 2 minus 3. So if you print this out, what we'll get is it'll first ask me for my name, so I'll just put Aryan. Then it says hello to, which is from this print line over there. And then it says hello Aryan, you're 17 years old. So if we run it again, we can see it displays that. If you enter my name Aryan, hello Aryan, you're 17 years old. That's how this resulted in. So yeah, that's it. I hope you guys learned something from here. Thank you. Have a great day and happy Onam.